The actress that's not Natalie Portman or Daisy Ridley stars in a brand new straight-to-Netflix streamer called The Woman in Cabin 10. It's a tantalizing murder mystery thriller. But the biggest mystery, is this a film that can actually be watched from beginning to end on Netflix? Let's find out together. Alright, for this movie, I'm not going to double dip. There's not going to be two videos. I'm going to cover everything in this one. So it will be spoiler-free up until it's not. And I'll let you know. If you find yourself absolutely captivated by the commentary as I'm going on, feel free to subscribe to Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Alright, let's dig in. Keira Knightley plays Laura, or Lo for short. She's a respected writer who's just been given the opportunity of a lifetime to travel on this beautiful ship for a few days with a bunch of upper-class rich folks. She's gonna find herself cruising for a bruising though, as the first night she's on this ship, someone goes overboard. Who that is? That's the question of the day, and one this 90-minute R-rated film is gonna spend time going into. For about 40 minutes, and then you figure out everything, and you have another 45 minutes to just kind of watch stuff happen. Thriller is one of my favorite movie genres and song, so I was really excited to watch this one. Less excited when I found out it was going straight to streaming. They don't have the best track record. Like with all whodunit stories, this film is going to spend a good 30 minutes showing you the lay of the land, setting up the chessboard, getting all the pieces in place, putting all the cards on the table. Feel like I did two metaphors too many to cover that. This whole soiree can be accredited to Richard Bulmer, played by Guy Pearce. We also have a character on this boat who has a history with Lo. His name is Ben Morgan, and he's played by that guy from Jupiter Ascending. Remember Jupiter Ascending? Everyone else on the ship falls into your standard cliche. You have the rock and roll guy that shows up late to the party, devil-may-care attitude. You have the uppity pompous Karen who, if you put even one toe out of line, will take her steak knife and plunge it into your back before she even cuts into her meal. While I typically like these types of characters, they are given virtually nothing to do here, which is a shame because this is a beautiful ship, which you think they could have a lot of fun with. Unfortunately, not a lot of fun to be had here. It's an isolated film taking place almost entirely on this boat, but it's not utilized very well. Oftentimes, you just see our protagonist going up and down the same hallway, or the rich people are gathered around having some drinks and talking shop. There's really nothing else What is the point of this cruise? This is the most boring ass cruise I've ever seen rich people on. You'd think there'd be some music. You'd think there'd be some lively entertainment. No, these are a bunch of stick in the mud, boring ass people. But it's not really about them. It's about Lo and the situation she finds herself in. As I stated, something goes overboard on her first night. She is kind of witness to it. She hears the splash, she sees a bloody handprint on the window next door, and so she's going to use her investigative skills to figure out who died, why they died, and the person responsible for dying her. For killing her. Didn't make sense the other way. To add a little bit of layer to all of this, Lo was recently traumatized by an event in her life where she watched someone drown to death. So there's the possibility that she's lost her mind. Okay, we have something here, is what I said in the first act. And then once the obvious reveals start to come in halfway through, you get to a final act that's both ridiculous and also very dull. Not helping matters is Keira Knightley, who I typically love seeing in films. She's kind of a little spitfire most of the time with that pouty jaw that she does and that stern yet hot demeanor. Here she's on autopilot, and I'm guessing it's because this character she's playing is supposed to be very low-key, also dealing with the recent tragedy, so she just comes off as a very bland individual. She starts to kind of come out of her shell in the later half, but by that point, I just really don't care much about this woman or her cause. The visuals are not helping things in the slightest. This is a very muted color palette we're going with. It's very drab, it's very dour. And I get the director's going with this because that typically makes a movie look a little bit more professional, a little bit more slick, and it is supposed to elevate the very downtrodden feel of the film. It's kind of just putting me to sleep though, because unfortunately, this movie does the two things you shouldn't do in a mystery thriller. It has very little mystery, and it has almost zero thrills. The most death-defying moment in the film features our hero having to just go from one balcony to the other, which is nothing more than grabbing up to the next railing and just scooting your ass across. But the movie attempts to add some drama and tension, and it completely fails at that. There's no close-up shots of her face panicking or of her hands starting to slip. We have a lame shoe start to fall, but then immediately she's on the other side before you know it. It's just lame tension across the board. This, like a lot of straight-to-streaming films, falls into that miserable category of it's okay enough to have on in the background. I would never say, yeah, definitely sit down and spend 90 minutes watching this. There's far better thrillers out there that do similar situations. Hell, there's a third one coming out soon from the Knives Out crew, probably going to be quite a bit better than this. And I can guarantee the characters will be more lively, there will be more layer to the story, there will be more misdirects, more red herrings, things of that nature, and not such a stale by-the-numbers situation like we have here, where you know what's going to happen, and it happens exactly how you expect. All right, there you have it. My thoughts on the film. Incredibly lame from front to back. Now I'm going to get into some spoilers for just a minute or two. But honestly, anybody that has ever seen a movie with Guy Pearce should know right out of the gates, he's the bad guy. When Guy Pearce showed up on the ship, I'm like, oh, so he's the villain. And then there's the mysterious lady up top who just kind of tips the hat to Keira Knightley, then goes away. I said, all right, well, that's the woman in room 10. And it turns out both of those things were correct. Her name is Annie Bulmer, also his partner. They have amassed themselves quite the empire of wealth. But after many years of fighting the cancer that's riddled her body, she has decided that she's going to change her will to give all of her assets to charity. Nothing is going to her husband. Well, he knows about this situation. He's not cool with it. Situation, of course, short for situation. So he has decided, in his infinite wisdom, to knock her out early, find a doppelganger to take her place, shave the head, have her go to a meeting where she'll sign over her portion of the company to him. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, bada penis. It's all done. It was almost too easy. But Annie walked in on her doppelganger with her husband, and he had to kill her right then and there, dumped her body over the side of the cruise ship, and that's where Lo heard things go down. And again, all of this happens before the hour mark, so we already know the entire mystery, how he sought this woman out via algorithm, facial something or another. She played the part, but she didn't know the dirty details of killing the wife. And that's where Lo comes in to figure out the mystery. The whole thing really did a disservice to all the other cast members who are essentially useless in the film. They don't get enough screen time. They don't really get set up like they could be the murderer ever. Because anytime someone is a potential killer, not more than 30 seconds later, they completely remove that. For instance, the husband-wife combo, at first the husband's like, I don't know where my wife is. I don't know what's going on. But then 10 seconds later, oh, just kidding. She passed out in the bathtub from drinking too much the night before. That arc is over. In the final act of the movie, things go off the rails pretty hard when Lo jumps ship when she confronts the two villains, Guy Pearce and his doctor. She survives the frigid cold temperatures of the ocean. She sets up a little fire in an abandoned house, as one does. And then she finds an evening gown to put on. I don't know where the fuck she pulled that out of. Maybe they addressed it and I nodded off for 10 seconds and missed it. But then she crashes the final party where she announces the truth about what's going on. But before Lo can get up front and stage in front of all these investors and rich people, Guy Pearce's Richard is like, no, she's crazy, don't let her talk. But then his fake wife goes, yes, she can talk, let her speak. And Lo speaks. And she doesn't say a whole lot before Richard's like, well, that's not even my real wife, okay? I paid this woman to play her. I don't know how you quickly jump to that. And then he grabs a knife, puts it to her neck. He starts to back out. And one of the security ladies pulls out a gun and shoots him once. And he's like, ugh, you shot me with a high-powered rifle. Ouch. I'm going to keep going, though. And the security lady's like, chink. I don't have a shot anymore. But don't worry. Lo grabs a wrench or some shit. And she's like, welcome to Earth. And she beats him across the head, freeing the woman so that she can checks notes, just live out her life freely? I'm sorry, she was an accessory to murder. She wasn't a hostage in this situation. Why does she get to go free? But we don't have time to dwell on it because right after this scene plays out, the movie's basically done. We see Lo one more time back at the office, and people are like, well done, Lo, we love you. And she gets a call, and it's her friend that she saved, the actress lady. And the actress lady's like, you should come hang out sometime. And Keira looks at the camera and goes, "Bing." She maybe didn't do that, but that was the implication that there's gonna be more of these movies. And there's probably more books to base them on, because I think the first one came out in like 2016. That's many years to churn out a bunch of dreck. And that's pretty much what this was. Watchable mediocrity. And speaking of which, think of subbing to the show, Adam Does Movies, on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You'll have a mediocre time here as well, and I would love to have you stick around. All right, that's all I got for you. Let me know if you watch this movie in the comments below. It helps the algorithm or something. Hit the like and the notification bell, and hopefully I see you next time. Take care. Oh, wow, you're still here. Well, since I have you, maybe think about jumping by the old merch store, Adam Does Movies, and pick up one of these Adam Does Movies Halloween tees. It's got Jason on the cover there on the logo, a little Friday the 13th inspiration in time for the holidays. On top of that, maybe think about becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies to really help support this one-man band. And that way I can afford to actually put out some candy this year for the trick-or-treaters and not just an empty pumpkin with a sign that says "Take one only." Implying that some fat little crap took all of them and left right away. Okay, that's all I got. Take care.